For special discussion on the recent initiatives of simplification and digitization of compliance. And we have with us Mr. Ravi, who is our Senior Vice President. Welcome, sir. And Saraswati Kasturirangan, who is the Chairperson of our HR Expert Committee, under the aegis of which this interaction is organized. And a warm welcome to all of you who have joined online for this session. There is a set agenda. After the welcome address by our Senior Vice President, there is the setting up of contacts by the Chairperson, and then the presentation by the Regional PF Commissioner. That will be followed by interaction, Q&A session from the members. And we also have received few questions already, which the Commissioner will be sharing and on the way forward. On behalf of the Chamber, we also express our sincere thanks to all the annual sponsors of the Chamber who support in the activity. And now I request Senior Vice President to begin.
Good afternoon to everybody. Good afternoon. We have a full table. I'm sure that all of you are looking forward to hear from Mr. Salil Sankar. Welcome to you on behalf of the BCIC topic, the report of. Then BCIC is countries as well. So I think you have come here for times. I just want to inform you the meeting as member and titles. Apart from that, we are in the 49 years. We work with about 25 subcommittee, and our committee headed by Mrs. Shri as well. That committee also the leadership of this committee. They will very job. And as far as the Chamber is concerned, we do have a plan a specialized in certain areas. Somebody 49 subject forward today. I just would like to sort of give my brief views. I think all of us, as a child accountant myself, it's statutory complex. All the more for foreign companies. Remember, don't pay your peer for the delay. So you get a notice and you are put. That is one thing any CEO will be afraid of, nothing else. So these are very, very critical for the employer. And I think that the government has gone into digitalization, and I think the EPFO has simplified and digitized services to not only increase the transparency, efficiency, but also the member convenience. So, I think with these major reforms which is happening now, the step in the right direction. This EPF 3.0 initiative, I think, has moved most of the processes online, replacing very lengthy and complicated manual procedures. But as always, when there are some good initiatives, there are some challenges also. And these challenges continue. And probably maybe next couple of months, these things can get ironed out. But I just would like to also mention to you, I'm sure there are some of the features you'll be mentioning to our members. But some of the areas where I thought I should try to achieve was mentioned to you is some of the challenges which mentioned by some of our members are these are general mindset of the employees. But we always feel that the mindset of the employees on the ground that has to be changed. And your training of the staff is very, very critical. Because once they are trained well, and then because whatever 90% of the good job is done by you, and we always find at the end of the day, people at the higher levels are very, very cooperative and very receptive. But the moment you go down, Where the challenge is. This is where the big companies are dealing. Now, another point which I don't know, it might be a little sensitive. Somewhere there's a feeling that the employers have to be respected. When they put in the department, there should be some respect. That's the employers, at least they expect that sort of a thing. And I'm not saying this across the few dark sheets are always there. Black sheep, rather. One more thing is, sir, in PF, there are a lot of litigation. So, how can we reduce the litigation? How can we make the settlement much more easier so that it doesn't go to the next level? This is one area where, and you know, in the courts we have this arbitration and all that. So, I'm not a specialist in HR, I don't know, but I would see how we can sort of. So today, after digitalization, people have become very, very happy. You know, because you have faced this assessment with the tax cut, we don't get it to digital interaction with any of the department. And a lot of 90% has become has been very successful, 90% very positive. There's a few problems which are being ironed out. And coming to when we talk about digitalization, the implementation is the most critical part. We feel implementation. Well, I remember some time back, we wanted a Shops and Establishments Act. Ease of doing business was done by the Ministry of Industry and Commerce, Industry and Commerce Department. And they said, see, you upload these documents in the in the portal, and within 15 days, you will see the Shops and Establishments certificate given. We did that. 15 days, 20 days. After 1 month, then the person had to go there and see to that it is done. So this is where the implementation of a part, because if that can be done, if it's smooth, it becomes very easy. So, as far as grievances, I am sure that I saw that you have a grievances system that called EPFO, online system of resolving grievances related to EPF and EPF services. I think this grievances is really good. This process of the field office, for resolution, you send them to the field office. Is it possible? I just would like to understand from yourself how many grievances have come to you and how many have been resolved and how many are pending for us to understand. Because I was going into the Google Maps, Google, and I saw forum Reddit that effectiveness has been inconsistent and frustrating. But I don't go by their words. What I'm trying to say, based on the what is the percentage of resolutions which has happened? From the chamber side, so see, we are a not-for-profit organization. We have all our members, and many members, you know, will be hesitant to come out. It's quite obvious. They would want to be named also. That's fine. So, as far as the chamber is concerned, it is our endeavor to see that we would like to sort of work with the department very closely and see to that how we can resolve the problems of the department. We are open. Please, we are. You ask us for any support, you want any feedback, we'll surely do that. So that at the end of the day, our objective is that our companies are happy. The one final point, sir, before I close, you have a regional committee, and I want you to help us out because we are on seat ones. Start from go to all people there. So for number of employees quite high. So I would be very happy if you can tell us how we can get into the committee, because we have FACC, we have other ASEAN and other associations. Please tell us, because I know we have to be approved by your head of them, but from your angle, you can just refer our name, we will be happy. And our objective is to see that And I can assure you from the chamber, we do what all is possible. If you want a help desk to be kept here for a few days, we don't mind. We have a facility. We can do that. I think, sir, with these few words, welcome you once again. And everybody is looking forward to hear from you as to the initiatives and let us all hope that everything goes well. Thank you.
We also have our individuals from and Mr. Sekaravarkan, who is a mentor, and he is a president of KVA. Ms. Chitra also from you. Now I request us to set the context. So I think good afternoon and welcome sir once again. I think a lot of context I think has been done by Mr. Ravi already. And I know we are slightly behind time and we have lots to cover. So this comes prepared with a lot of content. I think the reason why we thought that this was an opportune time for us to have this conversation is, of course, both the employee and income incentive scheme, which there with many employers are interested in, and this is a program which EPFO is running, and practically there are a lot of nuances which, as employers, we all need to understand, and also the recent change that has come in the ECR, where there is this revamped ECR which has been launched, which could really impact the day-to-day operations. And how does the filing happen? What kind of validations happen? What kind of pitfalls we need to avoid as employers? So I thought there was a lot. And the Vishwas scheme that is also coming up. There is the CBT has talked about it. So our vice presidents have talked about avoiding litigation. So this is one way of doing it, and we would like to hear more about it from you. So this is the rationale as to why we thought we would have this conversation today. We do have a lot of questions from our members, but before quickly handing it over to you, sir, I just wanted to formally invite you and also introduce you. Salil Sankar sir has joined EPFO and heads various roles across various regions. Karnataka, Goa, Maharashtra. He's from Kerala. I also have some roots from Kerala. So this really reflects his broad organization experience. I've listened to him before at the BCIC itself. He truly possesses the operational insight from a compliance and an administration of social security perspective. He's really risen to the role of RPFC 1 and taking on responsibilities both at the headquarters and the field offices. You're known for your proactive approach, sir, for stakeholder engagement and also for ensuring smooth workflows across functions. And I think these are the qualities we as the chamber are looking for from the authority. So thank you so much for sparing your time and being with us today, sir. And I think we will start off with a small presentation from the CFO side. Maybe some opening remarks from you, sir, and then.
Thank you, Mr. Ravi. Thanks a lot for setting the context very shortly. I think I noted down the point, but I think so. Thank you for having me here today. Very glad that I can interact with Salil and others. To I have met in the past, some of but to start off, I think one of the most important points Mr. Ravi mentioned is that we were split. But not saying that not only an employer, even an employee or anybody. If I walk in tomorrow to your company, I want to be treated with respect. The same respect should be there for. We may differ on have different point of views. We may be sometimes I may have to summon you on a notice, or we might have come there for replying to certain things. But still, there's no reason why we should not respect. It should be 100% there. I believe the practice in Bangalore compared to many other places is much more constructive. And I sincerely hope that government officers also change. Yes, I do agree that there are some infrastructure constraints in most of our offices. Any one of our offices will find that it's a long queue. People are waiting. People will be kind of, the person sitting at the desk is like answering 2-3 people at the same time, getting a proper response. Those things could be tackled better if we have a little bit of plan. Like say, for example, as an employer, you always have the flexibility. You can seek an appointment with the commissioner. If you come with an appointment, you have a specific time, and more or less, it will be attended. And that's been something which all of us, I mean, in past probably 5 years back, and I'm not sure whether it was very well there, but the recent past, the approach of the government itself has been to ensure that there is a lot of ease of doing business. It's one of the most important criteria for them to have a proper interaction with the employers, associations, employees, all stakeholders. So in this process, I think most of our offices have a very laid out system right now. If you do need to discuss any issue, the best possible way would be to convey the message. I would like to discuss these points. I would like to discuss that with the competent authority at an appropriate level, so that you don't have to go and stand with the PRO in the queue asking for, like, the person sitting there, but understand your issues. So in such scenarios, it would always be better for you to get an appointment, and then it would be easier for us also. Like, say, if your issue is a technical related matter. So when I'm meeting you, I'll have my technical person also sitting there. So it will be helpful for both of us to interact, come to certain problems. That is one aspect which I think I'll assure you that it will be done. I convey this message to all our offices in Bangalore, and it is part of our intent. Absolutely no doubt on it. We do have an intent to treat everybody in this. So with that remarks, with opening remarks, the next aspect is that mindset of my employees. Yeah, that's a very important issue. So I apologize if anybody has ever misbehaved with you or not treated you with respect or things like that, because see, this is a very important issue, and even very recent, Government of India has come out with a one-day sensitization program for every employee in the government sector. I think the process is still going on. So we had a system where at the top level, many of our master trainers were called to Delhi. I mean, from each office, 1 or 2 representatives was called to Delhi at the senior level, trained for 3 days. An officer is trained for 3 days on these very aspects, and they were asked to come back and train each and every one of the staff in the office in batches of 20, 30, so that it is not like some sermon being given, but to be practiced. Okay, so this is a problem, and we are very seriously trying to address it. Now, coming to the topic of the day, digitalization and the consequence and the features that we come across. I think, sir, all of you people who have been interacting with EPFO for the last 10, 12 years, I think found that one of the most momentous changes that happened in EPFO was in 2012, when we went for an overnight, I would say an overnight move to digitize the electronic challan filing system. 2012. Everybody, including us officers, felt that it would fail. But somehow it's breakthrough. It stabilized. First 3 months was really chaotic. So many issues were there, but then we stabilized, and then I'm sorry to say that we don't, as you mentioned, some of our systems are not world class. It evolves gradually, to some extent, in the meantime, creating difficulties which are very long lasting. So from PCR, we moved on to very systematic manner. We went into the universal account number. It was the first attempt made to have a unique number for every employee, so that we have the problem of transfers and all those things are done away with, and it's just like one account number throughout the career of the universal account number. You may remember we introduced it in July 2014, and our experience was not so good with this universal account number. The main reason is like the employees and employers also need to understand that universal account number is to be unique. If it is going to be multiple, then there is no meaning. Unfortunately, 2014 to 17, the learning process was very bad. Even though 3 major KYCs were there at that point of time. Aadhaar was just introduced. Aadhaar was still not prevalent, so we had to go for other KYCs. Other KYCs like the mobile number, that also was not that much there. But, and you may be remembering bank accounts. 80% of people in India did not have a bank account at that time, especially workers. So 2015, 16, I think in 16 only the drive was there to open bank accounts for everybody. Then this mobile, Aadhaar, and bank. So these 3 things, actually by 2017, we reached a position where we could move to the next law, make KYC mandate. Because without mandatory KYC, we were not able to have one UN for one. And the multiple numbers were offered every time when they moved a job. It was defeating the purpose. So when we made KYC mandatory, that again created a lot of problems because it should be a verifiable KYC. I mean, India is one of those only countries in the world, I believe, where KYC is digitally being verified. In most of the foreign countries also, even today, somebody's identity is based on a document. A document is a document, physical document produced, verified, and then approved. But the number of accounts, the number of people that we have in India, the volume of transactions that we have, I think we took the right decision that we should go for a digital KYC. And Aadhaar enabled us to do. So this method of verification through the UAA database was thought to be the best possible method to go for. But again, that created a whole lot because till the time, I mean, educated high-level employees may have lesser problem. The name would not change. But at the lower level, the name, the pronunciation changes, the letters change according to regional variations. Somebody coming from Sankar to here may be called Vijay or Vijay. All these kind of issues were there. And even among educated employees, I mean, I was in Chennai when Cognizant was one of our biggest clients. Every case was a name. I mean, just imagine all educated, highly qualified people, every case was a change of name because in Aadhaar, they use their local like name along with the surname. In the passport, which the employer relied upon, they had the full name, including the expansion of the name. So not a single name matched. More than 3 lakh accounts. Almost 80% of the cases were required to be corrected. Then in 2017-18, I think we introduced the correction facility. Then it took a lot of. In the meantime, what happened was that there are a lot of frauds were also written, especially related to the correction of name. One person's name got corrected to somebody else by design, by mistake, things like that. So every time, as you mentioned, very rightly you pointed out the fact that we have to go step forward and create a difficulty on them. But this was unavoidable. I think from the perspective of EPFO, we are handling around 7 crore contributory members and something like 3 to 5 crore members who contributed in the recent past and exited from employment. So anywhere around 10 to 12 crore members were set up. And to do this was a civilian task. But it has also been to a great extent. I believe today, 99.73% of all contributory members' accounts are seeded with Aadhaar. Not only seeded with Aadhaar, validated with. And every one of these contributory members is now in a position to access all the online facilities through that Aadhaar link, right? That's the present scenario which we are there, right? We still do have problems. Like say, for example, the very member who has got a 100% validated account may have an account in 2011-12, which is yet to be linked and transferred here. So that account is still manual. So we are having to manually verify, update the Aadhaar for that account, then link it and then transfer it and attach to this. So the process is not as simple as we can imagine. Like, I mean, why it can't be done so easily. And the process structure that has been prescribed has also to take care of preventing possible frauds and things. So I hope from the employer side, you understand a little bit of our purposes. I mean, it's not that the intent is not to harass anything. And in the process, certain cases where also there were very mechanically, it has been like not accepted, not corrected. So those kind of cases have also been there, for which we have set up certain systems. I mean, if you have seen in the last, after the present ministry has taken, the Mansukh Manviya came to as our Labour Minister, a lot of effort has been taken by him to make sure that the process simplifications have been put in place. EPFO has issued a number of circulars starting from the JD circular in 2025 January. The JD process was simplified. Earlier it was creating difficulties. So from that, then we move to, I think even the latest instruction, just about a month back, that no claim should be returned if there is any amount available in the account and then an employee has applied for that account. Whatever your doubt, clarification, we'll do it later. Because anyway, identity is confirmed. As I mentioned, 99.73% of accounts identity, 100%. So if that has got any deficiency, rectify it later, but please see that the account is settled or transferred or advance is given and no intrinsic cost to the member in the immediate. If we have a rectification to carry out, reach out to the member, get it. For the member, when they approach us, we carry it out. So there has been a lot of process simplifications, and the ECR process simplification is one of the most important. I think if you ask me, it should have been done now because validations in the ECR or the non-availability of proper validations in the ECR allow erroneous data to get applied. And one of the most difficult thing that happened was the pension fund membership, which was restricted in the year 2014 by the government for appropriate reasons. For a class of employees whose wages were above 15,000, it was decided that they cannot be members of the pension. But unfortunately, our ground level reality is different. People who are familiar with the old systems carry on with it. So 2014 ke baad, we have a lot of accounts where erroneous contributions were made into the pension funds. Now, there's an erroneous contribution. If it continues for a long period of time, some vested right may develop. Somebody may go to court, again issues may come up. So to prevent that, whenever it comes to notice, and that comes to notice when somebody submits a claim. So what happens is that we need to rectify. We need to rectify. We have been systematically taking steps to rectify those things. Initially, it was like the employer. I have seen cases here in Bangalore where the employer was asked to pay once again because we are paid wrongly in the employer sharing and the member. It is already credited to the member's account in provident fund, but pension fund is not paid, or vice versa. So many issues were there, but now we have stabilized. We have, I mean, in my office, Bangalore, most of the offices, corrections are taking place. We only ask only one clarification. Whether the first member, the date of the first member, month of the first membership, what is the wages? You can provide us some proof of that. Accordingly, it is corrected. The interchange of accounts contributions to be done due to, and then the account is processed either for transfer or settlement or whatever is required. So this is one of the major things which has been caused due to a lack of validation of the ECR. So this ECR which we have brought in now takes care of a whole host of problems that we were facing. Like one of the immediate aftermath of the ECR being introduced was that people are not able to file ECR because a lot of exit days are still not updated. I mean, as an employer, there is my understanding of the law is that an employee is not on the rolls. There are two possibilities: he is terminated or he is assigned. Awesome. We have a ground reality where people don't even know whether he is going to come back or not, whether he has abandoned or not, whether there is no resignation. How long can we continue? And the date of exit is very relevant as far as the legal part of it. So as an employer, what I would feel is that I need to have a policy for termination. Somebody is not working, somebody is not responding to my notice, I need to take a step to terminate. Or if the employee is resigning and going, I should have a process in place. Okay, so this process was very well thought out and decided that, okay, whether the time frame of 1 month is sufficient or not, that's very important. Now, say, for example, the person is not attending duty. I'm not a terminated. So what do I do? Do I put an exit date or should I continue? What manner should I continue? So there we need to understand that in such a scenario, if you are not terminated, the employee is still in service. If he's still in service, then it is a non-contributory period because you are not paid wages. Not paid wages, probably your withheld the wages, may be paid later, but for that period, you have to file the ECR with the non-contributory because this regularizes, this stabilizes things. Okay, so the employee will be treated as on the rolls. Now, if the employer has terminated, well and good, it's your decision. Please not the date of exit. So now, whether this 1 month period is sufficient for that or not, maybe it's a matter of debate. You can give your views, which we can. Anyway, that has been relaxed for 3 months now. For the first 4 months, it will not be. I think it's not mandated. We can file the ECR. So I'm glad to say that in the month of September, that is the ECR's file, the due date was extended till 22nd. By 17th, nearly 91% of the people who filed ECRs in the previous month had already filed. 91%. Some of them have still issues we are clarifying on a day-to-day basis. And some cases, like international workers, those are not very common, but some employers have that those issues, they are not able to pay the EPFO. That has also been rectified now. Two categories of people are there whose wages are about 15,000 for whose pension fund contributions are paid. So those has also been relaxed for the current month and the next month. So you will be able to file the return. Appropriate validations will be added. So there are some cases where the member has deferred the pension for the age of 60. Some of you may be aware of it. So for those cases also, the ECR will allow the filing. There are pension members who are contributing on higher wages based on the Supreme Court judgment. For them also, it is being allowed. So a lot of these problems have been addressed, and the validations will, some of these validations which have been relaxed now will be made effective from November or December, after considering the appropriate solutions that could be there for that. So this is something which I will, if you're interested, I can show you a brief of the FAQs on this. I have shared it. I mean, all the employers we have mailed it already. I'll share it with the chamber also so that they can once again communicate it. It's quite simple. I think every one of you have already gone through the process of filing the return for the month of September. Now we'll find it very easy to understand the effect. So it's become quite easy. Instead of doing the effect, I mean the PPT, if you would like me to take the questions, I will be glad to do that in that manner. Yeah, that will be okay. Now this is one aspect of it. Then the GCM part of it, I will cover through the interaction session. Then I think 3 months back I was here, spoken to all of you. Now I would like to have a feedback from the employers on the employment incentive scheme also, because I found that somehow there is a little bit of reluctance to register. I would once again want to confirm to every one of you that any bad experiences related to the processes involved in the previous scheme, ABRY, that is the Atmanirbhar Bharat Yojana. So that scheme was purely something based on declaration and some benefit being paid fully in the provident fund. It resulted in a large number of fraudulent claims also. So there was a time it was then highlighted, some of the companies had claimed crores of rupees. So it came to a scenario where it had to be verified. And in the verification process, what happened was that members who availed the benefit, or the employees who availed the benefit, those accounts got frozen. Some of them were asked to refund the money. So it gave a little bit of negative feedback on that. And the process has been put on hold right now. The members' accounts are getting released, I mean reactivated. Most of the accounts are getting reactivated. Process is still going on. But one thing I would like to assure every one of you here is that there is nothing like that in this industry. Okay. Now, there are only two requirements. From the employer side, the employer is only required to register, and that registration does not compel you to do anything extra. Your registration is only for the purpose of showing that. Okay, I would simply say that if you register, the Government of India, Secretary, the Minister, everybody understands that, okay, in India, out of 7.8 lakh establishments, 6 lakh establishments are registered, means 6 lakh employers have understood what the scheme is about. And that registration is very good. Right now, it's not even 50, 60,000 across the country. And Bangalore also, it is only around 5,000 places, more than 38,000 establishments. So to that extent, I believe it is not understood properly. Because as far as an employer is concerned, you don't have to incur any expenditure for registration. You don't have to reveal any additional information or anything like that. It's pure and simple. It's only free information. Yeah, one problem is that GST was requested for, only for one purpose. Because in your GST certificate, the type of establishment, whether it's a manufacturing company or non-manufacturing company, is there. So now this is the basis on which the benefit is paid. For a manufacturing company, it is 4 years. For a manufacturing concern, the benefit flows for 4 years. Non-manufacturing is only 2 years. So that distinction, we needed to have a record of it. So that is why the GST registration was asked for. Some of the GST registration is not matching. They are rethinking about how do we go about it. But at least the initiation is there from the side of the employer that we accept. So my request to every employer is that please do register. The benefit will purely depend upon the new hires. If you have hired a fresh employee, first time universal account number holder, which means that he was not in a PF covered establishment earlier. So when I mentioned first timer, that the person could have been working in some other company. He might have been in an establishment where less than 20 employees were there. But he was not covered under problem. So that person, if he is coming here and his universal account number is being generated, that indicates that he is a first time social security member under the EPF. The benefit of 15,000 rupees is payable to that person the first year. It is paid in 2 installments. After completion of 6 months, 7,500, and after completion of 12 months, 7,000. So the only requirement is if you are hiring somebody. Now the incentive here is that the employee is incentivized to stay with that employer for a year. So there's a little bit of continuity there, because if somebody gets a little bit more amount, moving to that is very common. There is an incentivization for the employee to be continuing in the employment for a period of 1 year. The idea is that the government has very well thought out that this should enable the employee to gain some knowledge, experience, and ability to work better. So that's one of the purpose. The second purpose is for the benefit for the employees. That's part B of the scheme. Part B, the benefit payable is 3 different levels. If the wages is up to 10,000 rupees, the benefit will be 10% of that. Like you say, for example, if the wage is 9,000 rupees, 900 rupees is the benefit payable to the employer. If it is 10,000, 1,000 rupees. If the wages is between 10,001 to 20,000, it's a flat 4,000 rupees to the employer, of that employee. Then if it is between 20,001 to 30,000, it is 3,000 rupees to the employer. Every month in which the employee continues service, provided that benefit is payable once in 6 months only. So for claiming this benefit, the first month, 3rd month he leaves, the benefit will not come. The 6 months he completes, the benefit for 6 months will come. So that distinction is only something which we need to understand. And it is available if you hire, if the present strength is that the base strength is more than 50, you need 5 employees. If it is less than 50, you need an additional of 2 employees. So that's just to keep that. The idea is that not to hire and take the benefit and then fire. It is to be sustained. Employment generation is one of the most common things our country faces right now. I mean, everywhere we hear about layoffs only. In this context, probably, hopefully, the scheme should be an incentive for both employees as well as employers to have new employment generation. So that's the purpose of the scheme. Now we are in the 3rd month, August. From 1st August onwards, anybody who joined new would have this. One of the problems that we faced in the initial phase was that the employee was not able to generate the UN because facial authentication was made mandatory. I think because the teething problems have gone away and it is getting done. One of the only reasons now that is not happening is because the employee probably does not have the mobile number linked to the Aadhaar with him at that moment. So that is still a hindrance because many people, especially the lower level coming from the villages and all, Aadhaar would be in the name of one member of the mobile number seated in the Aadhaar would be that point of time probably the father's people seated in the Aadhaar. He has come over, or maybe even the Aadhaar number is not valid now because it would be a called prepaid card, mobile SIM or something like that. So this is one aspect which is the problem, which could be easily rectified by the person going and updating his Aadhaar. The gap would be probably 14-15 days for the Aadhaar to get updated. So if we have a clarity on this, probably this should not be a big hindrance. Maybe there's a slight delay, but the rate of joining would not get. So this is something which I request all of you, if you probably have any further difficulties in that process, try to let us know. As far as the benefit is concerned, then it would be purely based on the ECR that you have filed. Okay, no returns, no information, no separate monthly returns to be sent or anything like that. Your ECR which you are filing, that even the revamped ECR which is now coming, takes care of various aspects in that. Based on that, it will be identified whether who are the joins, how many of them are rejoins. I forgot to mention. A person who was already covered in the PF also, when he comes and joins your company, the employer gets the benefit. The first timer benefit under Part A to the employee is not available, but Part B is a Part B. So I want to reassure every employer here that you have no problem at all. No, there's absolutely no need to fear as to what kind of other consequences could be there if you do this. The second aspect, what happens if suppose I register somebody? Your business allows you to continue with him for a long period of time, definitely you may continue with him. Your business does not allow you. Would you just keep him in service for 2 years? Even that, I don't think somebody will. So the benefit that is being taken would be based on your requirement. Okay, so there is no harm, there's no need to be worried about or whether there could be something hidden in this. Because I am very clearly coming out with this kind of a talk here is because we found that the registrations are not big. And many, when my people are contacting me and asking, why should we register? What happens if we don't register? I'm like, no issue. Nothing can happen. But this indicates probably that we have failed to convince the employer that there is no loss in registering. And once you register, the person who registers will at least at that point of time will know what is the scheme about. So then how to benefit from. Now there are many cases where just because the registration is not there, the benefit for the month of August and September would have already been lost because they are not registered. Now you can register at any point of time in the next 2 years. Till 2027, February, the facility is available. Sorry, July 2027, the facility to register is there. But the registration and the benefit will flow only after the registration. So I believe that the registration gives a confidence to us that you have understood the scheme and probably you also that you know what the scheme is about. Okay, so I would request every one of you to please register for that. It's a very simple one-page detail that has to be provided, and benefit will be directly disbursed to the bank account which is linked to the PAN of the company. So the three information that we are asking is the PAN, which we already have. The GST and the bank account is only what is additional. So I would request all of you to register. If any feedback on this aspect, we will take up when we go to that. The third point, which I would, some of the recent initiatives which I would like to talk to you about is the, you might have read in the newspaper that recently we had our board meeting on 13th of October. And after the board meeting, there was a press release about various changes in the withdrawal process. We need to mention very clearly that this is a recommendation of the Central Board of Trustees. We follow the Employees Provident Fund and Miscellaneous Provisions Act and the Employees Provident Fund Scheme, the Employees Pension Scheme 1995, the Employees Deposit Linked Insurance Scheme 1976. These schemes are written rules notified by the Parliament, by the government. Now, if a change in the process which is already there is required, the government has to notify it. So the decisions which have been taken by the Central Board of Trustees, the last meeting, are recommendations to the government to modify these rules. And they will be, once they are notified, then it will come into effect, and then it only will take it. So as of now, certain fears that are expressed in the public that we won't be able to withdraw the money and all are not there. Even those fears are, to my understanding about, since I'm in the social security field and I have a larger understanding about the social security concept, I feel that these restrictions are very valid, well-intentioned restrictions kept with in the social security aspect of a particular member, in not for any other purpose or to restrict the withdrawals as it is being projected. Say, for example, one of the before we get into the restrictions, let us see what are the relaxations that have been done. The basic relaxation that has been provided is that for withdrawals, premature withdrawals like advances being taken, most of the type of advances that were being taken, like for the purpose of housing, anything related to housing, a minimum membership of 5 years was required. For purpose of education of children or marriage of children or self, 7 years of membership was required. These has been relaxed to 1 year. That's a major relaxation as far as terms of advances are concerned. Then all the type of advances have been categorized into three broad categories. Category 1 consists of house building and such kind of advances, where you can avail up to 75% of your eligible, 100% of your eligible. I need to clarify what is this eligible balance. If your account is having 1 lakh rupee in the month of October 2025, at any point of time from September, November onwards, you will be able to withdraw up to 75,000 rupees from your provident fund account. This 75,000 is called the eligible balance. Okay, the remaining 25% is the ineligible balance that you can't take a withdrawal. Now, when is this 25% payable? Except from some service, as on date, it is payable after 2 months. These 2 months have been extended to 12 months. So, if somebody has exited from employment and is desirous of withdrawing money from their provident fund, they will be able to take up to 75% of the eligible. Okay, sorry, 75% of the total balance, which is eligible balance, is 75% of the available amount. That much amount can be withdrawn for any of these reasons, even without any reason also. Okay, so the remaining amount will remain with the provident fund for 1 year. Now, what is the intent of doing? A person losing a job will definitely be looking out for it. Once they get a job, the PF account continues, and they will be continuing with the more accumulations would come in. So the eligible balance will also be changing every month. So whatever eligible balance is available, they can take it at once. You need to retain the 25% on a fixed rate, should be retained as a provident balance. So the concept is to have some amount of PF balance at the time when they retire. Because as of now, most of the members retire with less than 30,000, 50,000 rupees in their account. That's not in any way sufficient for them to take care of the retired life. The other part is related to pension. So as of now, any pension fund member, when a person exits from service, after 2 months when they are withdrawing the full PF, they can withdraw the full pension fund balance also, provided they are not eligible for pension. 10 years of service is not there. One modification that has been made is that the pension fund account should be retained for at least 3 years. Now, there is a social protection involved there. Even though the member has exited from service, still does not have 10 years of eligible service also. But if the member dies during that 3-year period, the spouse and children will get pension. Okay. Now, if we had allowed the withdrawal the next month, the account gets closed, and if something happens, there is no pension at all for anyone. And there are so many instances where, especially many sick members who lose their job and all, we find that maybe 6 months down the line, 1 year down the line, they have died, and the paltry pension fund amount that they took, maybe 50,000, 40,000, 55,000 rupees, is not sufficient for 2-3 months. But the family is getting deprived of a pension which would have lasted them for maybe 25 years for the children and spouse for a long time. So it is with this intention that the pension fund withdraw, because as of now, the spouse and children are eligible for pension if the death happens within 3 years. So this withdrawal has been restricted for a period of 3 years. Now this is yet to be notified. This is a recommendation of the CBT. It is being debated, and it is found to be good. The government will come out with a notification and made it. But as of now, let me clarify, these are recommendations. That is not. Now, the fourth benefit which I would like to highlight is that this is also came in the newspapers a few days back. That EPFO is coming, the government is coming out with an employees enrollment campaign 2025. I think the last time you might have heard this is in 2017. We had an enrollment campaign in France. There was a waiver of complete employee share. There was a waiver of damages at that time. The same concepts will apply even now. The period of declaration, that is, anybody who wants, it's an amnesty scheme. It is an amnesty scheme which is intended to any employer who has not enrolled an eligible employee during the period from 1st July 2017 to 31st October 2025. During this period, if any employee was there who was eligible to be enrolled but not enrolled, the employer can declare that this employee is required to be made a member from this date. And both the declaration will be taken absolutely on face value. No suo motu inspection verification will be there. And the employer can contribute only the employer share. Otherwise, the employee share also need to be paid. But the employee share is fully waived if it has not been deducted. Like say you have kept an employee on the rolls, not enrolled him under program, but no deduction made from his salary. Now, for such cases, you can regularize that non-compliance by declaring that this employee joined my company from this day, and the contribution from that day through October 2025 has got to be paid, and only 100 rupees penalty would apply. So there are two. The amnesty allows the employer to declare the amnesty scheme. No inspections are conducted for any verification on this. Third is that damages is not applicable, only 100 rupees is paid. 70 interest is paid. Interest payable at 12% interest is paid. So the benefit for the employer is that the employee share will not be paid, no damages. Okay. And suppose there have been some employees who had worked during this period and left. For them, you need not do it. It applies only to employees on the rolls and existing. Okay. So this scheme is also notified. It is under para 82B of the EPFO scheme, and prima facie it will not apply to establishments where an inquiry under Section 7 is going on regarding an honor, or where an employer has those employees deducted the PF but not paid. That's a default. That's not related to this. So for those employees, they got to pay. Any case where there is an inquiry already going on, but in such case also the benefit for declaration is available, and it would apply for people who have not been enrolled. I mean, you had a category of employee who considered as a casual employee, considered not required to be enrolled, or for any reason, whatever may be. It will be, the declaration can be made only once. You cannot do it in installments. One time, declaration can be made between 1st November to 30th of April 2026. So, if you plan your process properly, you can take advantage of both the schemes. Right? Now, if the person is in employment prior to 1/8/2025, the first time employee benefit will not be there. New joining benefit, rejoining benefit will not be. But if it is for somebody who is being done now, between 1st August and now, the EBR benefit also as applicable to be paid. So this is an opportunity for everybody to kind of formalize any government issues which they may be having without a burden associated. I would request all of you to understand the schemes properly. It's quite simple. No hidden lines are there, or no reading between the lines is required. Quite straight. You can understand it. Any clarification that may be required, we are willing to do that. And my request to the chamber would be to educate employers about the requirement for ensuring that the workers do have the social security as defined by law. Anybody has not been doing it as expected, probably would be an opportunity to do it without a big cost on them. So these are the broad major schemes that I wanted to talk to you about. And as he's talked about regarding the extra scheme, that's also in the pipeline. It's yet to be notified. The idea is that I think probably you can correct me plan HR issues or any right which is vested by law. Probably I don't think that we can sit across the table and settle. That's why probably arbitration does not work in our kind of table. We are various options like alternate solution are being thought about, but unfortunately, finally, when the legal opinion comes, I mean, it's a vested right in an employer. But that is something which the government has done by now coming out with a scheme specifically, notified it, even with the sanctity of law, to say that the employee shall need not be paid. Now, otherwise, there's no, the employee shall, no court will waive it. Under the law, a court cannot waive. So you have a legal issue. That's why probably, I mean, as far as damages is concerned, I hope all of you are aware that damages rate of interest has been reduced. Earlier it was for the slab of 60 days, it was 5%. Then it was 12%, then it was 17% and 25%. The maximum rate was 25%. So if somebody is in default for 5 years, 4 years, it becomes 100% of the amount in default. Now, there is a category of employers because it has been reduced to 1% per month. So that will help the employer to reduce the cost of damages in cases where there has been a default. So that is there. The same lines Mr. Mishra's team which I was talking about, to see whether the government can come out with a modified scheme that kind of considers waiver of damages. All cases which are under litigation now, the majority of the EPF cases are related to damages. Some of the courts have reduced the damages. So almost every case of damage levy has gone back to the court. So, see, the law permits it because some of the courts have held that in certain situations where the damages levy is reduced to 50% or 70% or 30%, depending on the circumstances. It can be done. Then the government is thinking of doing something on that lines also. That's what Vishwa scheme will mostly address because under Section 7A, for deciding the right of an employee to be enrolled under the scheme, I think it's probably non-negotiable. It can only come and under this the employee enrollment campaign 2025. There you get the right to declare and then get a waiver of the employee share if it has not been done. I think these are the lastly about the new processes that we had. So now we have covered all the issues. I just wanted to answer one point about the EPFO, our grievance management system. Now, I would like to convey to you that Regional Office Kormangala, that is my office, has been selected as the best performing grievance management office in the the award is going to be discussed to us on the 1st of October during our annual day function in Delhi. So now, I'm telling this because we have made a lot of efforts in this line, and we have got 143 offices in the country, and out of these offices, this ranking system was instituted from the month of April 2024. Last 2 years, consistently, our office has been ranked as a number. That is the reason why we have got it given to us. And with this experience is why I'm sharing with you that we are doing a lot. Maybe EPFO as a whole has not reached to that level. We still have problems with various officers in the country, like in Gurgaon or in Bandra. If those officers are involved, it's very difficult even to get a proper response in time. So those kind of operational issues are there. But the path has been set. There are officers which are doing very well. And the number of cases that we discover, our response time, in my office at least, we have got two kind of grievance portals. One is the central government grievance portal, which we call the CP. That comes through the ministry. We have a response time of 1 day for those kind of grievances. When we respond, I'm not saying that we resolve the matter, but we respond within 1 day. We take up the matter, and please understand that the grievance will not be closed by the ministry unless it is resolved to the satisfaction of the matter. Either I have to say that he is not eligible, so I cannot give this benefit, or if he is eligible, I have to see that the benefit is. So, in that category of cases, our response time is 1 day, is the best in the country. The other one is the EPFO GMS, that is our internal portal. There we have a flexibility of 7 days to dispose of the. Even though the time limit is 30 days, we have a self-imposed time of 7 days to respond. So there we have a overall, because the volume is very high. Let's say, for example, we CP now we receive about 10 to 12 cases a day. The other one is like 150, 180 cases. So there, even say, for example, people who filed a claim yesterday would also file a So we have to dispose those cases. So there our disposal time is around 4 to 5 days. But still, I believe that these are the two reasons why we have been selected as the best. And the number of appeals against our disposal are around 4 to 5%, which is very minimal. Therefore, see, there are cases which we cannot resolve. There are instances where the member can ask anything, but we cannot be able to. Those kind of appeals are only around 4 to 5% of the total disposals. So to answer your question, some of the officers are doing great. Some are yet to resource levels. And I believe this is a very clear focus of our present government. The minister is very much focused on this aspect. We will have a better system and it will be taken care of. So, and as far as raising issues of members by the members of chamber. But as I talk that we had, we can have a regular system for that. I mean, any member can, through a grievance process or a portal, you can raise an issue to the chamber and the chamber can communicate to us and we will be keeping it. Policy issues, whatever you are suggesting, we will definitely forward it to our policy division for further consideration, appropriate action. Operational issues related to any office in Karnataka or outside the country also, you can fix it. If any one of your member has got a problem with a transfer not getting done from Bangalore to Termangala or a Bangalore office, please let us know daily. So that can be done. And this forum can be, I can send my representatives here also. If you require, we can have a fixed day on like an Adalat, help desk or something like that. You can give us assistance, please. Can help us. I mean, see, if you could kindly get the people who are coming and the type of the grievance a little bit in advance, we will be able to come with a resolution itself, or a solution or a proper guidance as to what is to be done. So that can be done very actively. I think we can have it on a monthly or a bi-monthly basis, depending on your needs. Even otherwise, you feel free to email to us and email us now. And finally, the last point, sir, as raised is related to the position on the regional committee. I fully respect his desire to be there and I welcome it because the regional committee is the board which is consisting of the state labor minister or sorry, labor secretary is the chairman of the board and our additional service commissioner is the secretary of the board. And we have employees representatives and employees representatives. The labor commission is a member, the director of the practice and labor policy is a member there. So we have a very well represented board where PF related issues could be discussed in detail for any betterment, operational issues to be sorted out, any lack of performance by any of the officers. Because see, I respect your intent of not naming anybody, but when we don't name and when we don't highlight those things, certain things which are not right get carried forward. Like say, for example, we not name me as a person, but please mention that we had a bad experience like this in this particular office. Please feel free to do that. So that will help our higher authorities to check that case and then address it. It's not a complaint, it is only a corrective process. Okay. So feel free to do that. I'll get back to you regarding the process as to how just to find out nation and other things. So I'll let you know how what is to be done. Because it will be done by the government. So we have to forward your request with appropriate. So with these words, I think I have made, I think I do not want to bore you with the presentation because all the information, the PPTs are there. I'll be sharing with you. PPTs is basically only on the BBRY scheme, which I already covered in very detail in the last meeting. Any issues which may be there, we can talk about it now. I think we can have a discussion better actually. Thank you for the patient hearing. And also
much for first of all, I think given that very exhaustive explanation of the initiative taken by the party. First of all, I'd like to congratulate you on taking on the first
thank you.
meeting. And it was And the employees are equally good in Bangalore. I think.
Yes,
In terms of compliance, Bangalore is always a.
I agree with you on that. The governance is good in Bangalore compared to many places.
I think all is open for questions and
Yeah.
you will be for.
Thank you, sir, and thank you so much for the marathon session. Almost like breathless today, you've been speaking. But it's great to hear from you without the presentation, the way you covered all the aspects. I think if I just go to a quick, whatever you've said, call to action for the ELI registration. Yes, we also sense that there is a hesitation from employers against this. One question, and this came top of my mind when we were talking about it, is when new employees are joined and the benefit goes to the employee and there is a 1-year restriction. Some employers are worried saying that employee gets a benefit, if they leave, then I will be held to action to refund that.
As
So-
clarified,
Yes,
not happened. If the employee is on the rolls for 6 months, the first installment is paid to the employee. There's no need for any refund. The employee works only for 5 months, no benefit is paid, so no question of any refund. The employer has absolutely no liability on it. The other part also, see, probably if the employee leaves after 5 months, you would probably leave 5 into the 3. Maybe 15,000 rupees is a loss to the employer for that employee. But it's not something which is paid and then taken back. The employee is there for 6 months, the employer will get 18,000 rupees. The employee left on the 5th month, the employer is losing entire. So the incentive is like, say, I still believe that nobody is going to keep somebody for this incentive. But if you had the employer is having, I mean, currently, at least in India, probably we have a lot of external issues and all, but domestic situation seems to be good. Things are, I mean, going by the Diwali date and all those things. So the things are getting better, and let us hope it gets better for the sake of all.
thank you for the clarification. So I think that's a call to action from you, sir, for all our. I think you also talked about the employee enrollment campaign. That's a good opportunity in case there is a miss out by employers in terms of not registering there. One question I had, sir, what does cover international workers? Or is that?
Just not distinguish between any person. So just talks about it, so it will now.
That's good. And I think you talked about, the withdrawal scheme, the outcomes happening. Yes, we have to wait for the notification, but I think it does sound reasonable. I also comment the part where when somebody leaves an employer, currently within 2 months they can withdraw, and actually the through 12 months they intently explain the benefits. We have to make sure that employees not really take a short-term step and withdraw from the PF. We all know PF is one of the most attractive schemes, not only in terms of interest, but also from a tax perspective. So I think that is also encouraging for the notification to come in. Or similarly on the Vishwa scheme also, the intent is very good. I think many employers are explaining the damages, and that also brings me, and if once this is rolled out, and I'm sure employers would want to evaluate it. Today the damages rate is from 5 to 25%. So maybe some those who are say under 5% will still want to evaluate, because some of it, there could be a cost benefit to be looked at. In some cases, the existing situation could be better. So that's something to be evaluated, but we will wait for the detailed scheme. I think the other thing which I think is top on all our minds is on the new ECR, revamped ECR. So the form is not being changed, but at the back end, there is a validation that has been introduced. So is there something you want to talk about it, sir, or should I just go in?
You can go ahead with the question. Unless any, I mean, if you want a brief presentation on that, I can do it. But most of the people sitting here, if you are not hands-on with it, it may not make much sense to present it, because somebody in the office would be doing it. So having a larger view would help you to, like, say, for example, the technical issues have been there. Some of them, most of them have been removed. Some, at least 3 validations which are there have been temporarily removed for 1 or 2 months till a decision is taken on those things. Then it would be appropriately reintroduced with a correction so that employers will be made aware of what is to be done. Now, say, for example, the EDLI exempted establishment. Anybody here who was having an EDLI exemption. So the ECR did not have a provision where EDLI wages, if it is entered, automatically contributions are coming. So now the clarifications come that you please don't put the EDLI wages. If you don't put EDLI wages, that EDLI contribution, now that facility has been made. Now your EDLI status, we are in the process of working. Now, while this ECR was launched, there was a simultaneous migration in internal on the impact group. Some of our offices had bifurcated and all. So that process may some technical issues have cropped up where some of our people are not able to update the exemption status. It's a purely temporary issue will get resolved. So once the exemption status is updated. See, when the problem with the exemption status is, fortunately, some employees have started complying under different schemes on their own. They took a policy from LIC or SSI, and then they cannot. I mean, see, exemption is to be granted. You cannot presuppose that because I have taken a policy, I am exempted from the EDLIs. That's there where we have got a technical issue now. So now the matter is, some of those cases are like we have escalated to our headquarters asking for a clarity. What is to be done? Like say the employer should be again compelled to pay the EDLI contributions, though they have had a policy, or whether it should be considered that the policy providing a better benefit should be allowed to be done. So, I mean, that's something which is, but anyway, any such case, my only request to you is that if anybody has got such a problem, please submit a request immediately. We will regularize it. We will seek regularization. And if your intent has been good, alphabets are not there, probably it should be.
We've also seen situations where some companies, right, the policy is there could be a delay to do another policy or anything.
Yeah, you see, if there is the problem with the renewal is the issue is that if there is a delay in the renewal, the exemption gets cancelled.
Yeah.
Because you're leaving the employees nowhere in between. If the policy is not there, the company will not honor. If the contribution is not paid, EPFO will not honor. The employee, if something happens in between, that's a vacuum. So that vacuum cannot exist. So in many cases, what I have come across is that after having continued with the policy for 3-4 years, many people after COVID, with the premium rates increase, so they stop the policy and then started complying with the EPFO. There was some confusion again in some of our offices that it cannot be allowed. You have to compulsorily continue with yours. That's a legal issue. My view is that if you are not paying the premium, I have to cancel your exception and then make you comply. You want to do it yourself, you do it.
There are also challenges where somebody migrates from an exempt establishment to an unexempt establishment. So in terms of the minimum period that is required for coverage, that could also have a challenge.
Sorry, I didn't get it.
So the question is, so I am with an exempt establishment, and then I change my employment. So I come to an unexempt establishment, and then within a few months after joining, say the person dies. So the period of coverage, minimum period required on the EDLI coverage may not be met.
No. See, the thing is that the person should have been in employment. Continuous period of 12 months employment is what is required. So if the EDLI policy has been changed, does not mean that EDLI benefit is applicable. It's a pure term insurance. It's like contribution paid for this month, coverage for this month. It's like coverage is guaranteed in anticipation of it. So if you've taken an insurance policy with a company, so the policy expired in May 2025. Then you started complying as an unaccepted EPFO establishment. The employee had been in service prior to last year, May onwards. And 12 months of service is there, continuous uninterrupted service in the establishment. The benefit of that 2.5 lakhs will be there. And recently, one more clarification has come. In case an employee exits from one establishment and joins another establishment, there will be normally a 3-day gap, 5-day gap, 7-day gap, or some period. The gap is less than 2 months. Exiting in one company and joining the other company, the gap is less than 2 months. It will be treated as a continuous.
That's good.
Absolutely. That has been resolved. Then one more proposal is there that in case an employee exits from employment, so for a period of 3 months, the coverage will be extended. That to be notified. But the proposal is there.
Very forward looking. On the ECR, maybe I can quickly go through some questions and then we can open it up if that is okay. I think some of this I've shared with you. So one is on the chronological ECR filing. Is that something that is practical? Do you see any challenges that could happen?
See, chronological filing, one difference between the current ECR and the new, the past ECR and the revamped ECR is that you are not compelled to pay whatever ECR you have created. ECR is a return of the contributions that is paid. Now, in the past, when an ECR is prepared, you have to pay for all the people in the ECR. Payment cannot have a part payment of a particular number of employees of an account. If you are making a part payment, you are preparing an ECR only to that extent. Now, here the change that is recommended is or it's implemented is that you have 1,000 employees on the books, you have to prepare the ECR for 1,000. And the ECR will be a one-time ECR. Now, multiple ECRs are allowed. Multiple ECRs are now. One of the requirement was that many companies had multiple branches and they wanted to have multiple ECRs for administrative convenience. That has been allowed. But for the month of September, all the ECRs of September has got to be filed. And then if you are having some financial crunch and you want to pay on the employee share, you're free to pay. The next time when you try to make the payment, you can select the balance and pay. So the return has got to be filed. Okay, for the month of September, if you are filing the ECR, got to file for the month of September completely. Now, what happens if you omitted a few employees or somebody joined in late or the data was not available with your office? You can file a supplementary. The supplementary ECR is for additional members. Okay. Now, once the ECR has been filed for maybe 1,000 employees, you cannot remove anybody from it, but you can add people by supplementary. So the purpose is very simple. You can probably you have omitted somebody that you can add, but somebody who is already there, then going and revising it. So if you made a mistake, you can revise. Okay, correction or something is possible, but to remove that member is not. That is why this exit has got to be very cautiously handled. Now, if the time frame of 1 month is not sufficient to exit a person, the only solution is that I'm not saying that when you exit somebody or you terminate somebody or not. See your company's policy. But we see that the person, if it is not terminated, the name is in ECR with the non-contributory person is added.
I think that is where the practical challenges, and I mean, there are some members who want to share that. What we've heard is that some people don't turn up for. So, and then the question is, do I credit salary for them? Or there are situations where it is regularized. So they may not turn up for health issues. In which case, employers take a compassionate view and say that yes, I will pay salary retroactively for you, though you did not turn up, or they will take a decision. Minimum at least 1 month or 2 months, you won't turn up, then I turn. So I think that is the only situation where
see, we have 3 types of ECR. One is the normal ECR, the other one is a supplementary ECR, which I explained. Third is an arrear ECR. Now the arrear ECR, the purpose is very simple. Most of the companies which follow the and things like that, they have to pay the fairness allowance, which is declared every day. Now 2 months, 3 months is normally they find it. So presently, if you put it in the respective month, they in the later date. Now, the facility that is given now is that, if say for example, January, February, March, the EA is revised and you are filing it in April, you need to file an arrear ECR. There is a one bulk ECR where the January to March is entered, and if the payment is made in April, no damage is. But this is something which has to be distinguished from any arrear due to a default. Known wages not paid. Now here I come across a lot many employers who have a scenario where the last settlement is made after a couple of months, and the PF comes after 3 months after the date of action. That's a problem, because as per law, whatever is the period for where he has worked, the payment is required to be made. It is a known amount. The PF deduction has got to be done. It is paid by the company and deducted from the wages later. So when you make the settlement, you can deduct it, but you can't withhold the pay. That has got to be distinct. We have got 3 number of instances where Date of exit is marked, reason is that payment comes after 4 months. Unfortunately, such cases, we have to return back the claim asking for clarification, things like that, further delaying the settlement.
So it was only automated penal and interest company. So today the damages, I think the Chevron council, you have an option to discuss that and then now it will be. The question that comes up is that this is really the spirit of section 10.
Yeah, I would like to clarify that. See, we have this damages and interest is being populated on the screen when you're making the payment because, see, please understand, as far as the EPF commission is concerned, I think this is one of the topics of debate in the courts of law. As far as the EPF commission is concerned, you have this like it's a very clear provision under which damages and interest is levied. There is a section 14B of the Act gives the authority or the capacity or the power to levy the damages, and the commission is required to follow a table where the period is specified and the damages applicable is specified. Okay. Now, courts have interpreted that the commissioner may levy damages. Now, that was the word commissioner may levy damages existed at a time when there was no table. And it says the commissioner may levy damages up not exceeding 100% of the amount in paper. Now, that remained as it is, but then below expected table has been appended later. Now, there are two reasons for this. One is that transparency, because then everybody should know as to what is the damages applicable to them. Otherwise, it would be like, I can decide 10% here, 80% here. It would be very unfair. To avoid that, the law is very clear. It says that if the delay is due to this reason, then. But the second aspect is related to waiver of that. If you read paragraph 32 of the EPF scheme, 32A and 32B, 32A talks about the levying of damages and the stable delay. 32B says that damages can be waived by the Central Board of Trustees under certain circumstances. 1, 2, 3 circumstances are given. Now, it's a little outdated now because it talks about the Sikh Industrial Companies Act, recommendation by the BAFR, whereas that does not exist now. Now, there is an attempt to modify it based on the NBC, IBC, and NCLT process, which are now the way of resolving these kind of cases. But as of now, it is still the word used is that there is a recommendation by the BA. Now, that authority lies with the central board. Now, the practical reality now is that many of our cases, when they go to the High Court or the tribunal has got a provision under Section 7I of the Act to modify an order. Under that power, some of the judgments have reduced the damages, especially in some of the cases where during the UA period 2019, where employers were finding it difficult to make the payment, where we mechanically assess the dues have been reduced by the judge. So anyway, that is coming in the Vishwas scheme, most probably some solutions.
Yeah.
Last time I want to clarify that in case an employer is not bound to accept what is shown on the portal, that's something which I need to make very clear. It is a probable amount of damages based on the period of delay, the amount paid, and what is the amount calculated. It's an automatic process. You are agreeable to that, you can pay that. Because 7Q interest, there's no way, there's no appeal, nothing is there. It is definitely paid. Damages is the only one which at least go to the commission and say that I had these problems. Whether we accepted or not, like say, for example, I did not receive payment from my principal employer. Is it a reason for non-payment of dues by an employer? Certainly not. Okay, those are the issues involved in it. But you have an option to dispute. You can very well say that these damages, I have a problem with it because your calculation is not correct. The date of remittance shown in the, even just a couple of days back, I had come across a case where the payment was made on 12th. Money was debited from the bank account of the company, but returned back by the aggregator on 18th. And then the employer got it back in the bank account on 20th. The employer paid it again on 24th. So there's a delay of 10 days. Certainly, the employer is not responsible. Certainly, the employer will not be responsible. Because that's it. I mean, if you go very mechanically, it is delay is there, 10 days is there, damages will apply. But in that case, since the employer has made the payment, the intent is obvious, very clear. Money was debited from the bank account. So those kind of instances where some issues are there could be redressed if you have a meeting with the processing authority and explaining the situation. But financial difficulty is going to be considered again subjective matter.
Do we want to open up?
Yeah,
to questions?
any couple of questions, but your name, your company, and just very free.
First of all, sir, let me introduce myself. I'm Sunil Gaikwad. I'm an advocate and I work for ITC Infotech, taking care of global compliance. First of all, I would like to congratulate you and your team for best of the best services being provided for the years together now. And thanks to BCIC to organize this session and a platform for us to put up our points and queries. My query is regarding ECR generation for the employees who gets rejoined to the organization. So we have taken up this case also. Previously, we used to generate separate challan for a subsequent period. Like suppose, for example, if I left the organization on 10th of September. For some reason, I did not find any job. I rejoined and say I requested my employer. I rejoined on 20th. There was an option. I had exited. Then the new challan is created and remittance is made. But in the revamped process, we're not able to do that. And if we attempt the supplementary, it says the UAN is because probably the link is to the UAN, not to the account number, membership account number. Second point is if we attempt that with the REH challan, it automatically asks for 7Q interest, though there's no delay. Though the thing. So what would be the solution for this?
I would put it like this. Say, for example, you have the person leaving and rejoining in the same month. Probably there is a difficulty because you have put a date of exit.
Yes.
And then again, you have to create a new member ID.
We have created it.
We have created.
Yes.
But the system is not accepting.
Yes.
Now, this is being done because in our system, when the date of exit is entered against a member, the service stops with that.
Yes.
Subsequent contributions actually, when we process the claim for a settlement, it stops with that service. The pension withdrawal benefit goes all in. EF, whatever amount is there, it will come. But we have a technical difficulty with that. So we are not, especially once an account is settled and then he rejoins. Like say, in this case, it is the same month. Some other cases are there where the amount is withdrawn. And then after 6 months, he comes and rejoins and the company pays the money in the same account. There we have a technical difficulty because again, if he applies for a transfer to another company, we are not able to transfer because that account is closed. So the intent is that if a person has exited, he should have a new membership.
We have new memberships.
But this is a technical issue,
Okay,
which has been highlighted to office.
Good.
I'll also take it up. If you can send a mail, it would be a little bit helpful with a specific case.
Sure.
Then I can highlight it to them that what probably we need is that even if once a person has exited, that is a correct entry. The person has rejoined in the same month, system should allow.
yes,
It should be a different member ID.
yeah, definitely.
Should be a different. So it should definitely allow.
But the system is not allowing. We have taken up through an email.
What you can do is that if suppose in that case you have been issued with a notice of the 14 million 7Q is coming.
Yes.
Please make a specific request to the commissioner saying that this is what happened. Your system is having a problem. I have taken him on employment and this is a new employment and this contribution is paid on time off. But damages is being calculated, which is not there.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for that.
Can we ask you questions? I think, no, I think three media.
There are a few more. So if you can consider.
You can actually ask can be. So, sir, you spoke about, Bangalore, it's like, in terms of, it's not in compliance, governance wise, Bangalore is different from other parts, right? So can you just give us a little bit of understanding of that? Also, how many people how many establishments have actually registered? Number of employees that do cover how many and what are you expecting from this
I
trial?
can say that nearly about 38,000 contributing live establishments are 38,000 plus, not having effect.
In Bangalore alone.
See, when I say Bangalore means, we have our administrative setup is like Karnataka. We have got all the offices around 6 plus 4 plus 14 outside. Sorry, 11 Bangalore. Yes, outside.
Information ಬರ್ತಾರ ಅದು ಬೇರೆದೆಲ್ಲ ಏನು ಇಲ್ಲ.
Now,
I didn't get that breakup.
see, we have our offices are all regional offices.
Yeah.
not necessarily that in one district, one.
But right now, how many offices?
We have about 14 offices in Bangalore. Plus, we have certain district offices in remote parts of the like Bangalore district as well, Kolar district as well. So the operational offices are around 14. 11 are in Bangalore.
I don't know, 12 o'clock, but then.
Bangalore, Mysore, Gulbarga, Bellary. Okay. So the total number of establishments covered in all these offices put together is near about. In Bangalore alone, it's around 38,000, and including Karnataka as a whole, it's around 60,000.
Okay.
Number of subscribers covered is around 72 lakhs.
Under these.
Yes, 72 to 78 lakhs. Currently, it's about 78 lakhs in the last term.
So what is the scope actually we have in Karnataka? How many have?
Please understand.
As you really said, lot of lack of awareness is there, right? So now this campaign, you are planning this drive also you're planning. So what is
I'll explain. See, first is that EPFO does not apply to establishments where the number of employees are less than 20. Okay. So that category of establishments like shops and commercial establishments, all which are very small, MSMEs and all which are very small are out of the purview of EPFO. Then we have people who are working in companies covered under product, right, whose wages are above 15, who are not compulsorily required to be PF members. They can, if they both employer and employee wants to enroll them, they can be. And there are a large number of members that salary is 40,000, 80,000, 1 lakh. Say, would say that I have my savings, I'm contributing to NPS or I'm contributing to mutual fund. I don't require the form. So that is available to members. So we cannot say that every employee working in every establishment is covered in number one. Number two, people, the establishments which are covered. Why I said that governance is better is because a lot of new age companies are there in engineering, as well as IT and all those things. And most of them have got very robust governance processes in place. And overall, what we have observed is that the compliance is very good. All eligible employees to a great extent are covered. This is what we have observed. Now, we do have smaller employers, bigger employees who are defaulters also. Now, defaulters are in two categories. One is that they have short-term financial funds. They may delay the payments for a couple of months, but for a particular month, they may be in default for one of them. They do make the payment. There are some category of people like where we won't be able to know whether there is a default because we have this what we call intrusive inspection systems are not there. I got a declaratory policy. Every employer is required to declare and file the ECR in respect of all the employees covered with them. And unless there is a complaint or a, like say, for example, a complaint from a particular employee saying that I'm not covered by the employer or my PF is not being paid, then we have a process of, it kicks off the process of an inspection of the establishment and identifying the default. So such cases in Bangalore, generally, it is on a lower level when compared to the other places. That's why I would say that governance in Bangalore, the companies in government in Bangalore is. Now, awareness is one of the biggest factors which will further make it better because if the employee is aware of his benefit and questions it, let's say, for example, an eligible employee is not covered under provident fund, has got the courage to make a complaint to the commissioner's office saying that I'm working in this company, I'm not getting my provident fund or my pension benefit. That will help us to prevent, and that would also make employers also aware of the fact that they're not get away with non-compliance, and that's what it.
That was also my question. How many eligible employees and employees are not covered now?
See, that's what I'm saying. See, this is not something which is a readily available data from anybody. Not. See, we can say that based on the complaints received, based on the information available of the number of accounts and where the money is not yet paid, we can identify approximately how many companies are in default, but we cannot say for sure. But we. I will give you one example. Just to when you look at the claim rejection over it overall, like say for example, out of 100 claims that come in now, nearly about 33 claims are automatically processed in the sense that it does not go through any manual process. These are all advanced level. It will be earlier the limit was up to 50,000 and the limit has been enhanced to 55 lakh rupees. So a claim which qualifies, there are certain parameters, 13 parameters were there. If the claim satisfies all the parameters, it's a clean account. It goes into an auto process. On the third day, the check is generated and the money goes to the bank. Out of the remaining around 70 claims that are there, we have a large number of claims which fail this auto process because the claim is coming in where the member does not have a sufficient balance, or there is certain deficiencies in the account, which if the account is settled, like say, member is asking for 80,000 rupees and he has got only 8,000 rupees in his account. So the claim is not eligible. We don't have the money to pay that. I mean, the member's balance is less, so we can't settle. So those kind of claims get rejected. Now, there is another category of claims like which is very commonly coming nowadays is that member has already worked in one company, taken a PF settlement, joins another company after some time, and then the new company, the HR tells him that if you have a previous account, please apply for a transfer. He goes onto the site, applies for a PF transfer, and then we find that it has already been settled. This is something which we are trying to address by making this period of final withdrawal from 2 months to 1 year. So between this 1 year, the payment is not fully withdrawn. It gets transferred and attached to the next account and the service continues. Now, if the person, let us say somebody has got 5 years service in a company, exited from that company, maybe for any reason, out of employment for 4 months, then rejoins another company. The 5 years benefit is taken out fully. The 5 years is, if the pension account is settled, if this 5 years vanishes from his career, then he joins again in another company at the age of 40, puts in another 4 or 5 years. So by the age of 40, 50, he might have 5, 6 years service there. If the earlier 5 years is also added to that, he qualifies for pension because 10 years of service is there. Now, this is getting disturbed because members knowingly or unknowingly settle the claim within a short period after they exit from service. Now, this is what we are trying to prevent by expanding this period to a period of 1 year. So within this 1 year, if you join somewhere, instead of settlement, he might have taken a withdrawal. Let us say 1 lakh was available. Eligible balance is 75. He would have taken the entire 75, but the 25 with pension service will get transferred to the next. So it helps in continuity of, and please understand that this scheme is designed in such a manner that the person may have worked in even 20 establishments during this period of 30 years, but the entire service period is properly accounted and then makes him eligible for a long-term pension. And I need to mention here that the pension formula of EPFO is very simple. It's one of the best available in terms of an assured pension. The pension calculation is based on pensionable salary multiplied by the number of years of service divided by 70. Okay. Now, if I have a long period of service, 35 years of service, and my salary is like the average of the last 60 months is taken as the pensionable salary. Let us say today my ceiling is 15,000 rupees. So if 15,000 rupees into 35 divided by 70 will be 7,500. So if my last 5 years average salary is 15,000, which is like the minimum wage today in Karnataka, I can say that more than 60% of the members are in that category. And our ceiling is also 15, so it cannot go beyond that. So a person who is a laborer or a lower level staff in any company who is drawing 15,000 wages today, if he is retiring with 35 years of service, would be getting 7,500 rupees as pension. Now, this can be possible only if 35 years of service is there. Unfortunately, what has happened is that people withdraw the money after every 3 years to 5 years, and this accumulation is missing. So instead of 35, if the value goes to 10,000, sorry, 10, then it is 15,000 into 10 divided by 70, which would be somewhere around 2,500 rupees. This is the reason why most of the members have got such low amount in their pension. So what a pension society can happen only if the period of service accumulation or a long period of time is there, so that the benefit can also be commensurately high.
And my last question is talking about pension liabilities. Actually, last April 2023, one of our director is applied for the pension higher wages. April 2023 started, I filled an application, everything. Till today, we are moving, even weekly once, we are moving to issue the EPFO. It's not my. Till today, we don't given any result. Wherever I am met with the commissioner, yes, don't do it. Then when I come back to this case worker, he says, no, it's not possible. That is not filing, not filing. Actually, if the file is there, sir, I think 1-2 passwords are there. So for 1959, for even farm number 23, his age is 65 years. So that's why I don't want to take more time. Through the chambers, I'm going to submit.
Yeah, please, I will take it up with take it up with the showing please so that, and in this respect, I would like to say that my office, I received 1,880. We have cleared all of the 1,800. Only 1,443 or somewhere on to it. That we have. This was the pension also. Okay. The rest of the people who are not eligible, we are not allowed, because see, we have to follow the rules. Some of the exceptional establishments do not get, because the trust rules had a condition that the PF money will be, sorry, the EPF money will be limited to 6,000 or 15,000. We put into the provident fund account of the member. We get trust and the member and the employer wants to put the money there. I mean, that's a subject matter of other court cases also.
Where is the chat? What we will do is, what we'll do is, we'll share it as anybody online would like to, 1 or 2 questions from online. Anybody would like to ask it?
Okay, all the questions.
Yeah.
Sir, actually, sir, good evening. My name is Tulasi Mani. So I just had a small query. So we had an employee who is based out of India, and that employee got transferred, or the employee's citizenship got moved to another country. So the employee had a PF account with India, and again the employee is now coming back to India, and the employee is like a full-time employee of India, but will be an expat now. So can we continue the same UN number, or UN number has to be different for an expat? So there is no break in service in between. There is no break in service in between.
You mean to say that he is having a foreign passport now?
Yes, sir. Yes.
See, the person, when he was on the rolls of the company and was holding an Indian passport, he is a domestic employee. And the PF rules, like what is existing now, would apply to him. Now, in case he is a expat and he is coming from or working in a company which is, country where the social security agreement is not there, then slightly different rules will apply. Can you just tell me from which company is he coming now? Which country? Sorry, which country? Is he a US citizen or a UK citizen?
Malta, sir. It is Malta.
Malta. So Malta doesn't have the social security agreement with India. So now what happens in this case is that if he has been continuously in your service, you need not have a new account number or anything. It can have a same account number, but you will have to update his PF account as an international worker account, which can be done through the employer portal.
Okay.
Now, once his account is updated as an international worker, he will not be able to withdraw the provident fund till retirement from service after the age of 55. Okay. So, and second thing is that if he does not have 10 years of eligible service, he will not receive pension.
Okay.
He will not be able to take any withdrawal benefit from the pension fund. But this is because he is not coming from a country where India has got a social security agreement.
Okay. Got it. Sir, but now my question is, so the employee, when the employee was in India, we have been remitting pension contribution as well. So after this ECR revamp process has happened, will there be any impact on the EPS part? Because now since the employee has got converted into an expat, so will there be an impact on the EPS? Still, do we need to remit EPS, or EPS will get stopped?
No, you will continue to remit the EPS.
Okay.
You will update his status as an international worker. In the
Okay.
month of September, the ECR was having a problem initially. It was not allowing to pay the pension fund contributions, but that has been removed now. You can make the payment.
Okay. Done, sir. Okay. Sir, also, also two more questions. So, you spoke about ELI, so thank you for that explanation. It was very clear. But my only doubt is, do we have any timelines to complete the ELI registration process? And as well as, if in case I'm doing it now, will I be able to do it effective 1st of August, or it will be only for the employees when I'm starting my registration process? Can you please explain that, sir?
The registration is a 2-minute process. It doesn't take much time. You can do it now. Unfortunately, you can't claim the benefit for the period from 1st August to 28th of 29th of August.
No retracement.
No retracement.
Okay, so it will be from the date when. Sorry, sir.
The benefit will continue. Say, for example, if an employee joins your company on 1st November, for the next 2 years, the benefit will go to the employee.
Okay. Done, sir. Done. Sir, also the Form 5A extract, which has to be displayed in all offices, or do we need to do it only on the registered office where we have a PF account?
In the instructions to put it in the registered office.
Only on the registered office. Okay, done, sir. Thank you, sir. Done. Thanks a lot, sir.
Okay, let's say the-
I'm a member in regional committee also. Only I have one small question. In ESI, there is a amnesty scheme, even if they don't register, we can register from the day one. But is that there also in the EPF? If I have 25 employees, we have not registered. Can we start registering from this month? The ELI in ESI they have given up to March 26.
No, sir. I'm not asking you what is the date in which your numbers cross 20. You have to declare and you have to comply. Now, if that date is 3 months back, 6 months back, you have to start from that date. The benefit that is available is employee share, not need not be paid. No damages except for 100 rupees, simple one time.
ESI on the day.
Yeah.
EFT is that is better.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hello.
Request to you is that.
ಅವ್ರು connect ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು.
Please give me a choice to decide the headlines.
I enforce a 25%, minimum balance rule when members often want full access in emergency situation. Even I went through that. And how will members, cope when they can't withdraw their full PF, when they can't withdraw their full PF after job loss immediately? Does this risk hardship?
So let me explain once again with some real example. Let us say I'm talking about a simple small time member with a salary of 15,000 is covered under PF. Now, the person who worked for 3 years would have accumulated around 1 lakh rupees in the provident fund, and some portion is there in the pension fund. Now, if the person had taken out both money at one go, he would probably have got 1 lakh rupees from the provident fund and maybe around 30,000 rupees from the pension fund. Okay. Now, this is about 1,30,000, which is something which will go into his hand 2 months after his retirement. In case this is implemented, the member will still get 1,75,000 rupees. He will get on the date without even waiting for the next 2 months. Okay, he is out of employment. Now, we are talking about a scenario where the member is not having wages and have to sustain.
Yeah.
So now he is able to take 75,000 rupees of the very next day of losing employment. So 75% is the eligible balance can be taken immediately. The balance is there for locked up for the next, as we discussed, about 1 year. Now I explained in detail the purpose of extending it for 1 year. Now, in case the member gets the additional 25,000 rupees, how long is it going to last? The larger purpose of anything can happen. I mean, somebody may be really sick or something could be there. But the larger purpose is that we look forward to have a working life, retired age of 58, and then have something of some kitty which would help them to tide over after retirement. The pension, if it is there for 10 years, coverage is there. It becomes the member gets some entitlement monthly for a long term. Now, as I mentioned, very clearly I mentioned one example. The 30,000 rupees which have been taken out would have given 30,000 in hand for the member. But if this 30,000 is there, and with it, if suppose something happens and he passes away, then within the next 3 years, the spouse and children, they would be getting from the first month 1,000 rupees minimum pension for the spouse and 500 rupees for 2 children, that is 2,000 rupees. So within 1 year, 24,000 rupees would have gone to the family. And that can continue for up to the age of 25 for 2 children, and spouse, it can till a remarriage or death. Now this 30,000, will it buy such kind of a coverage for you in any kind of scheme? So the purpose is to, people, if they are ignorant, there is a responsibility on the state to kind of educate them. Sometimes, in every state, even in Singapore, there are so many restrictions on withdrawal. In every developed country, there are restrictions on withdrawal from Provident Fund or Social Security. The purpose is to be understood. I believe that 25,000 rupees or 30,000 rupees is not going to solve all the problems of everybody, but it would be helping them to have a long-term social security in position for that future. Now, as you mentioned, if people feel that I should get the whole thing in hand right now, it's a different perspective. This is a democratic country, different views are there. Nobody should be held hostage. The law, ultimately, the government will decide on the law. This is the recommendation made by the EPFO, which is the Central Board of Trustees to the government. So it will be debated, it will be discussed. The society has already discussed it in quite a length. So ultimately, every policy comes with certain intentions in mind. So I hope,
Suppose the employee, takes the extreme step intentionally.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. We should not create a scenario where, like, say, for example, for this 25,000 rupees, the employee takes an extreme step, because it's something which we are, for a threat purpose, we can say that. This 25,000 is not going to solve anybody's problem forever. The person is going to, there is social security, does not mean that only PF money. There is friends are there, children are there, relatives are there. We are a social human being. So if none of these things is working, does this 25,000 alone help? I'm putting it in the form of an example.
Another 2 questions.
Namaste, sir. Myself, Praveen Ampar. I'm from Volo Group India. We had some acquisition in the past in the year 2007. Okay. So most of the employees from that acquisition entity, they are going to retire. So they are facing the these pension transfer issues, basically from Pune office to Bandra to again Kerpuram. So how we can address this? Because we made a multiple attempt to connect with Bandra office and even Pune office. They don't have those data because they are all joined in 1980s and 1990s. So
any issues with the membership data in these offices? What reason is that? Otherwise, it should happen easily. It's not a big issue at all.
They are saying they need the transfer annexure K, EPS annexure K.
Okay.
That's what we don't have.
Office wants it.
Pune office and
Bandra.
Pune has to give to Bandra. Bandra has to give it back to Pune.
It's a process. You feel then meet the commissioner.
Okay.
Explain the difficulty. If the annexure K, annexure K is some document which is issued at the time of transfer.
Yes.
Now, if the transfer had been done long back and the annexure K was misplaced or not added properly in Bandra, all they would need is that there is certificate from the commissioner in Pune saying that this is the extract of the annexure K from our records. Based on that, they will update the record there. Then they will issue a judgment to you for bringing it back here and then update it. Or there is another option that is available. From Pune, directly take it to your company. From Bandra, take it to your company now. Whichever office you are having, which office is it?
Currently, they are in Pune.
Currently in Pune. So then Pune doesn't have to issue a certificate to Bandra and Bandra back to Pune. Just get a certificate of the service from Bandra to Pune and ask Commissioner Pune to add the previous service directly here. So
that's what we made an attempt to,
please meet the commissioner.
Yeah.
Lower level is not working here.
No, we actually we met with
I have one question. My name is Harish and I'm representing a company called Omnisa. It is a technical issue which I am also aware, but I just wanted to bring it to your notice. Recently, we have tried to update the Form 5A just because adding an additional signatory for the digital signature. But we have observed that we are unable to add additional owners into it. Like when we reached the EPFO, it was told that it was a technical error. And the matter has been highlighted to the technical team, but the resolution has not yet come. So I checked with many other employers, everybody is facing that issue with respect to Form 5 updates.
You're not able to add
Any member, I can delete, but I cannot replace, or I can add any member to the Form 5.
earlier, you were able to do it, but
Earlier, we were able to.
please send me a slide.
Sure. That is one
It is something which is to be done
technical.
technically.
So that is the one issue, and I'm sure other employers also may be facing the same issue. The another issue which I am facing is about the international worker portal login. So the company which is just started their operation maybe a month ago or 2 months ago, we are able to log into the PF portal. We are able to make the challenge generation, return filing, everything is happening. But when we try to log into the international worker portal, which is a different portal, but the system says it is an invalid user ID and password. So I'm not sure what could be the issue.
You go to the concerned office and meet the data sourcing assistant and ask them what is any if it is any reset of password or something like that, they will help you with that.
Okay.
Otherwise, again, we will have to take it up with them.
Sure, sir. So I'll bring it to your notice about this Form 5.
Sir, this senior issue, you can give me a representation or something like that through this.
To his point, the Form 5A, I have spoken to multiple companies in ITC because we have almost 100 plus private entities also connect with us. So Form 5A issue is for everybody. So it either it strucks in the last minute before OTP generation or it doesn't get updated at all. So we have been giving representation through emails and letters since March, but it's yet to get resolved.
See, some of our things move a little slowly.
Maybe there's one last question. There's somebody online who is raised their hand.
DG, I think. Somebody online would like to ask a question.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you hear me? I'm Bharti here calling from Nice Limited. See, this month, I have faced a problem with the arrears payment challan. See, for one employee, we had paid arrears because there was an increment with retrospective effect, and we had to generate a arrears challan file. So what happened was, it is taking it, like when I went to the payment portal, it has taken 146 rupees extra money while the ECR amount was all correct. So I didn't know why this extra amount, like even for PF admin charges, it is charged 3 rupees more. Even for account number 1, it has taken 143 rupees more.
And what I feel is that you have selected the arrear ECR and the period has been put wrongly. Now, what you should be doing is that, say, for example, if you are filing the return for the month of September and the arrears pertain to the period from, let us say, January to July or August, then it should be very specifically mentioned the arrear period is from January to July 2025, and you should make the payment in September. Then damages would not apply. But if you have a arrear period before that, and
see, this arrear was generated. Sorry, sir. This arrear was generated in month of September only, sir. With retrospective, I mean to say for the month of August.
No, August.
So it asked the date of disbursement of the arrears, which I put as October only, and it asked the arrears of which month. I said it was August. So does it attract any kind of an additional charges because of the delay or something like that?
If you're remitted the contribution, arrear contribution in the month in which it is disbursed, you should not attract damages. That is how the ECR is designed. In the particular case, we'll have to check it out. You kindly just say either mail it to us, we will check it out, or take it up with the concerned office, they will verify it. And anyway, if a damage is issued in this regard, please object to it, you are not compelled to pay the damages in interest. Damages you can definitely, especially in such kind of cases, you can raise an objection.
No, these extra charges were never displayed, sir, actually. These extra charges were never displayed. But while it was...
BCIC, we'll forward it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Sir, I have one other question.
So we can possibly take.
You can submit it to us.
Yeah.
Yes, what we will do is, whatever the queries we have received in the chat box, we will share it to the office of the commissioner, and then response we get.
Yeah.
We will share it as part of
If anything response also, you can.
because we observe that there are many common questions which has been posted again, and few of which the commissioner has also shared. And even our questions that we can.
Okay, thank you.
It's a session, and maybe I can request Sati.
Thank you, and I think on behalf of everybody here, and on those who've been patient enough to stay online, I would say that I've never heard such a detailed and exhaustive session by somebody at the commissioner level.
Yes.
The detail, extent of detail, level that you're talking about, you're of course giving us a background as to why the legislation is the way it is. Plus also telling us on hand, on the ground, how things are impacted at the EPFO level and what practical ways we have to surmount all of those challenges. So I think I truly feel privileged to be part of this conversation, and I'm sure all of us agree to that. So very heartfelt thanks to you, sir, on behalf of the chamber as well as all the members here and all the companies who be part of the meetings. We do look forward to further guidance from you, sir, because I think there are some times where grievances get settled faster, and we see you as a route to that. So please, we will take up on that, and maybe we will use your good offices to get issues resolved where we are not able to get it resolved faster. This is a request on behalf of all the members. And with that, thank you, sir, once again. And thank you, sir, for helping getting all the questions done as well. So,
I think we should thank all the members who have come in with such hard numbers.
I think today has been, we were really worried.
I think
We said such a hot topic, why is the registration number so low? But I think we've got a good attendance both in the room as well as online. So, and everybody online has been so patient as well as raising valid and very informative questions, which is enhancing our knowledge. So thank you to you, and thank you, Mr. Ravi, for being here throughout.
And we will thank the prison media for covering this.
My
privilege also.
I would like to hand over the small of our appreciation on behalf of the chamber.
Yeah, once again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. And this we conclude the session, and I request you to kindly have refreshments of fairness and service. Thank you.